We've got a program on the monitor.
Off air is better.
No, he wants us to.
Well, it's a very, very good morning to you from Nasrec, and this, of course, is the centre of attention at the moment, I think, for all South Africans, and certainly for the ANC and for those of us that are here broadcasting this to you live. I'm sure you can see all these wonderful vans that have gathered here. The media contingency is unbelievable at Nasrec. My colleague Peter Ndora and I watching this and understanding that we have got this covered, haven't we, Peter?
Indeed. A very good morning to you. And yeah, we're going to be covering this on many platforms, radio, television, and don't forget our website as well, SABC.com. We will give you live, up-to-date coverage throughout the course of the day, and a little bit later on, SABC2 as well will be able to watch the ANC's 54th National Conference unfold. And it's been quite a busy day already, even though the conference hasn't started.
Well, that's the reality. I mean, for those of you that are perhaps sort of just waking up, tuning in and sort of trying to catch up and see if you've missed anything, the reality is you haven't missed too much, because there's an NEC meeting that is taking place right now, and pretty much so what's happened is the delegates have come in, they have registered, but you can see that there's a lot of optimism amongst everybody that this is going to be run in a smooth manner, and yet a lot of people also a little bit nervous. So, you know, it's just one of those days that needs to unfold itself. But right now what we can tell you is that the NEC are locked behind closed doors, big meetings happening, and this, of course, all on the back of those court rulings that were given yesterday.
Yes, indeed. And that NEC meeting got underway this morning at 8 o'clock, so we're 2 hours in already. We were supposed to have started this conference at 9 o'clock, and that's not going to happen. But the question is, when will this NEC meeting finish, and what kind of resolutions can they come up with to try and preempt, I guess, any possible court action that might result as a result of the elections that are going to take place tomorrow. So we're already behind time, but I suppose with these conferences, it's not always unexpected, but at some point someone will stand up on the podium and it kicks off. And so at what point that is it 2 o'clock, is it 11 o'clock, is it 6 o'clock? We're not sure.
Yeah, but we are here covering it. We'll be bringing this live to you both here on Channel 404 and on SABC News throughout the day, and we'll be sure to bring you all of the information. But what has happened this morning is, and something that I think is going to be happening for the duration of the conference, are these breakfast meetings that are gathering a lot of people coming together. We saw the Progressive Business Forum meeting, and their guest speaker was our Finance Minister, Malusi Gigaba. We were all wondering behind the scenes here whether or not he is aware of the announcement that was made by our president a bit earlier this morning. And I think the big news that many of us waking up to is that the president has announced that there is going to be free higher education for many of the poor South Africans, poor families. I think that cost, we'll get into the more detail on that very shortly. We'll analyze that announcement. But what he did announce this morning, President Jacob Zuma, is that free higher education for poor and working class students will be given. We didn't hear the finance minister mentioning that at all, but I'm sure now that he's made his way out of there, because it was made while he was actually addressing this forum. So we'll be talking about that as well as a lot of other things with our analysts that are gathered here. Peter,
indeed.
Would you like to introduce our analysts to us?
You know, just before that, I'm seeing these images here, and what's going to be interesting to observe is going to be the body language. I thought I saw gestures as they were running in, suggesting what they are voting for, what they would like, and they've been trying to discourage these kinds of gestures, but already I think before it started we're going to see the tone of this conference taking place. But we've got a pool of reporters that are going to be helping us cover this story from around Nasrec as well as in studio, and one of them is Ntakwanda Ngatani, who's outside at the moment. Let's cross to her and get a sense of this story unfolding right now. Ntakwanda?
Well, good morning, Peter and Leanne. Yes, I'm in the gardens of the Nasrec Expo Center, and this is where everything is different from when I was here earlier on in the week. It was very quiet, just logistics, catering, security. But now we have seen people start arriving, including the media, as you say, local, regional, international. So I'm sure that attention on this particular conference is not only in South Africa, but it is really worldwide, because we're looking at electing the leader of the ruling party of Africa's biggest economy. So it's understandable the attention that we're currently getting here in South Africa at the moment. But also having started arriving delegates, we don't know from where, they've been singing as they left their respective places, provinces, that they want one candidate or another, and so we have heard that singing from behind me now, and so a lot of activity happening here in the gardens. But of course, as you say, also happening on these gardens is that NEC meeting, the urgent NEC meeting, where we saw members of that NEC, probably, as you said, Peter, discussing whether some delegates from provinces that have issues, that had challenges in court, including the Free State, probably will be allowed in this conference, and if they are allowed, on what circumstances or what are the ring fencing conditions that they will be allowed into the conference, because they may have legal implications at their participation in this conference. For instance, we have heard now that the PEC from the Free State that was disbanded following, or rather prior to the election that we saw now being annulled by the court, was trying to convene a meeting last night here in Johannesburg. That SMSs were flying around, but some members of that NEC went to lawyers to try to stop that meeting and said that chairperson and Premier Ace Magashule should by 12 o'clock have made an undertaking that that particular PEC meeting will not happen, because it will be unlawful, and whatever it decides can be challenged in court. So these are just some of the issues that we expect that particular NEC meeting is discussing right now. But yes, as you've said, we are here. We'll be monitoring what is happening outside and coming back to you and telling you what is happening. Of course, as you can see now, the singing that has been happening throughout all the branch general meetings of the ANC and the provincial general councils across provinces around the country. Peter and Leanne.
You're watching live visuals on your screen right now as we come to you live from the Nasrec Expo Center, and you're seeing all the delegates arriving here with much jubilation and much song. You can see on your screen the Northern Cape. We saw the Youth League a bit earlier. We saw Limpopo. We're seeing all of the different provinces and regions coming through, and the songs are very, very important on a day like this. This is where you listen to the clues. This is where you listen out to find out where the vote is going. I mean, I think it's a it's a well-known fact that if you look back on previous gatherings and conferences like this, there's different songs that are supporting the different candidates, and we know that the top two candidates are at this point Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and our Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. So listening for those clues to see which group is louder and which song is more prominent, Peter.
And it's not just the songs, the gestures, this waving in the air and almost suggesting substitution. We've seen these gestures before, and they tell a story, a powerful story of who they're supporting. And the leadership has been trying to discourage this in the name of unity, but you can see already that they mean business. They want their candidate to win, and they're not afraid to express who that person is. And I suspect this is setting the tone of what we're going to be seeing over the next few days or so. So at the Mangaung conference, there were about 4,500 delegates. At this one, they're over 5,000, so it's much bigger than ever before. And just this wide picture there, it gives you a sense of just the size, and this is just them arriving, and it's going to be pretty full soon.
Can you imagine? I mean, it's going to be quite an incredible scene that you're going to see unfolding here at Nasrec today, and we've told you before, this is an unscripted day. The script is going to be written by everything that happens with the events today, and it's going to be something that I think is momentous and historical in the history not only of the ANC but certainly of South Africa. Things to look out for, and also something quite interesting is those different songs that we were talking about being chanted. Delegates for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma certainly saying, "We are ready." That is their, pretty much so their slogan there. And for Cyril Ramaphosa, "We are changing." So listen out for those words. Is Jiga Sizo Jiga. That's what we can hear for Cyril Ramaphosa coming out. So just listen. Those are some tips and keys. But let me tell you, we've got some analysts that are gathered here in studio with us today that are going to give us all the analysis we need as the day goes by. So Busisiwe Kaba from Monash, great to have you. Thank you very much for being with us. And Melanie Favut, independent analyst, political analyst. Thank